Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your support. Today we'll be talking about the Doors L.A. Woman, and the reason is the arrival of the UHQR from Analogue Productions. This is a record that I had intended to get. I was ready and waiting for the announcement in the beginning of August. Chad had made an announcement that there was going to be a very limited UHQR coming. And when I heard that, it reminded me of the Bob Marley scenario where you had to be notified right away and get on it or you're going to miss it. So I was like ready. I had my notifications on. As I said, I think I was on vacation, and I went out and left my house. I started to walk across the street to the beach, and I got this notification, and I'm looking at it, and it says, it's Chad, and he's saying, oh, the new title for the UHQR is The Doors L.A. Woman. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's an odd choice. Interesting, but let's keep watching. Then he said, it's 33 RPM. I was like, oh, okay, 33 RPM. Well, some of them are, and there's no reason a 33 RPM couldn't beat the 45 if done right. Yeah, 33 RPM. Then I kept watching, and then he said, then there's a new box too. I was like, oh man, okay, let me go back to my house and order this and get it out of the way. I don't want to miss out on it, and I can decide, if I still want it after I think about it for a minute. It's one of those things that you just rush and act on FOMO. So I went home, I ordered it, and I went out and enjoyed my day. Later on, I came back and I rewatched the video carefully. And I saw the box, and I was like, oh, I understand the reasons, but I wasn't crazy about the idea. I like to see things consistently across a whole series, so breaking the set by changing the box is not great, in my opinion. I like the original box myself, but whatever, it's okay. I was willing to have an open mind. But then I kept watching, and I stopped and I rewound, and I said, did he say what I think he said? He said something to the effect of, the new one is not meant to compete with the 45 RPM cut, which I have right here. It is the best of the 33s. It's going to smoke the rest of the 33s. So I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cancel this. I really don't need another copy of this. I love the 45, and it was kind of expensive, for a 33. But my curiosity was piqued, and I called up my friend Oswaldo, and I said, hey, Ozzy, are you getting the UHQR of LA Woman? He said, yes, I'm getting one for myself and one for the business. I said, great, because you know what? When I get home, we're going to do a shootout. I know you have the DCC, among other pressings, so let's shoot out the UHQR, the DCC, and whatever else you got. And that's exactly what we did. When I got home, we set up the evaluation at my place. So he came over armed with 4 copies of the record, actually 5. We had a German pressing. I'm not sure the exact vintage. We had the 1998 DCC by Steve Hoffman. We had the 2009 Rhino by Bernie Grundman, the 2024 UHQR, and the 45. Now the 45 did not play a big role in this. I will reference it at several points though. I really wanted to see how the 33 stacked up. All this was auditioned on my current system. You can check any of the system updates of recent vintage to get an idea of what I'm listening on. The big change in recent months has been the VPI Scout with a classic bladder has replaced the Basis 1400, and the System Audio Pandion speakers have replaced the ELAC debuts. So It's a big system with a big sound, and I absolutely love the way it sounds now. And this is really the first comparison evaluation that I've done on the new system, so I'm really excited about that. I don't have the copies here in front of me. This was done 2 days ago. I did shoot a video immediately after, but there were some technical issues, so you won't see me handling the records, but I will show you inserts of everything that I'm talking about. The purpose here is not to declare a king. These are 3 excellent pressings, actually 4, that we're going to be talking about. And although I have a personal preference, which I will make clear, all of these offer an excellent window onto this music. They just sound a little bit different, and I'll just describe in detail what I feel is the difference. All these were cleaned on the degritter that Oz owns, so he brought them all over ready to go. The way this was set up is we chose 2 tracks. We listened to them 3 times, and then a 4th time at any volume. The first 3 times they were volume matched, so there was no difference in the volume. They were set with a meter. As this took place in just a few hours, please consider that these are initial impressions and not based on long-term listening. Right away, we eliminated the German pressing. It was something that Oz brought along because he felt like it was the better of the 2 German pressings he had, but when he first put it on, it was the first thing I heard. I was like, no, this is rather flat sounding, and he agreed. So we kept it to the other 3 pressings, the DCC, the Rhino, and the UHQR. The first thing we listened to after the German was the DCC. As soon as the DCC went on, now these notes were all formulated over listening to everything, so I had already heard all of the pressings. These are the qualities of the DCC that I noticed. The first thing I noticed was a deeper bass and a more powerful dynamic range. The dynamic range is the widest of all of these. It goes from soft to loud very quickly and very naturally, and it feels like a live performance. This is the biggest advantage of the DCC. The warmth and bass power and kick drum, all of that is powerful. It hits you in the chest. And I love that about this particular pressing. In the Changeling and Lover Madly, which were the 2 cuts we listened to for this evaluation, each time the keyboards, the guitars, everything jumped out in a natural way, in the way that it would as if you were hearing it in a live performance. It's uncanny what Steve Hoffman was able to do with some judicious EQ. You know, if he added a little boost here and there in the frequencies, that's what a mastering engineer does. He brings out the best of a rock record. There's nothing wrong with doing this, and whatever he did, it worked. It made this sound like a kick-ass rock record, and that's another thing I love about this DCC. It was literally hair-raising. In the Changeling, when Jim is like screaming and yelping and grunting, you hear it and you're just like, oh my God, I feel like goosebumps everywhere. And Oswaldo said the same thing. He's like, oh my God, that just hit me. The keyboards, the guitars, the drums, the kick drums, all of it has the feel of live music. Maybe the image placement and precision is not as good as the other editions, like the UHQR or the Rhino. Steve Hoffman tends to choose a little bit more natural presentation, more organic, and avoids that razor sharp kind of precision and clarity. Although there is absolute clarity on the DCC, it's not in the same way that you hear on the UHQR or the Rhino. It has the groove and swagger that's just addicting. I absolutely love that DCC. I'll talk more about it in the final wrap-up, but if you have the DCC, you have a fabulous record. That's no question about that. The Rhino. the Rhino surprised both of us. We thought it was wonderful. It was a quick, leaner presentation. It doesn't have the deep bass and absolute warmth of the DCC, but in its place, it has a lightning quick transients, very clear and precise placement of instruments, a good energy. It still feels like a record rather than a performance, but that's okay. What it does very well. Spatially, it had an excellent quality of width and depth. Everything felt like arrayed in space, and it was easy to pick out everything. You heard the separation between instruments. Keyboards especially popped out of the mix in the Changeling. The voice, while not as dimensional as on the DCC, was very good. And overall, this was a really impressive job by Bernie Grundman. Honestly, I thought after I heard that, this is going to be hard to top. If I had bought this when it came out, I would have been absolutely thrilled and not really needing to look much further. I think it offers the best bang for the buck of all of them. The UHQR I got to see up close. I took a look at the box. I was forbidden to handle it too much. No, he actually left all of the pressings for me for a day, so I could make the video and show the boxes and stuff. But he was he's like, please be careful with the DCC. It's almost irreplaceable. And you know, I know how the UHQR boxes are. If you have oils on your hands, they can transfer to the brown paper of the box. And I didn't want to do that, so I didn't handle it too much, but I did see the contents. I'm going to show you in close-ups here. I feel like the box was a little difficult to open. I think it's attractive. I kind of miss the dowel spine. I'm not a big fan of clamshell boxes. Usually they fail at some point. And I found that, we found that tugging to get the box open, it was almost like there was a vacuum that needed to be released to get this to open. Maybe it's just because it was tight and new, and it will loosen up as time goes on. But for me, if I bought the UHQR, considering the delicate nature of a box like that, I would probably have it on a shelf in the closet, which at that point you're like, well, why do a box at all? I particularly like the dowel spine box, and I wish he would continue with that instead. But I understand market considerations, and there are reasons for this. So, but it does look good. The tip-on or tip-in artwork on the front looks good. The gold embossing as well. The spine looks similar to what you see on the dowel, gold embossed on black. And overall, it looks good. How does it sound? Well, the approach is not that much different than you get with the Rhino. They're both mastered by Bernie Grundman, of course, so they are similar in nature. I think they are more similar than either one is to the DCC. The new one excels in clarity and definition, not surprising. Also, precise image placement, excellent layering, a quick power to it that is very attractive. It's an extremely good job. It does not have the warmth and bass punch of the DCC. Whether that would be to your taste or to your system is a question. But there's no denying that the UHQR is an excellent job. It gives you everything you would want in this record, except the last bit of power and punch in that deep bass. And to me, that's an important feature of this record. Between the two, the Rhino and the UHQR, I don't think, I don't think the value proposition is there for the UHQR. This is for collectors that want to complete their set and want the best in-print 33, and it certainly is that. But if you are searching for another experience, the Rhino is a more affordable option for sure, and the DCC, elusive as it is my absolute favorite. My personal favorite. I just think that every time we went back to it, it wowed us. Not only was it the most visceral. It was also the most dimensional. Now, we did listen to the 45 a bit during these evaluations, and the 45 excels in that as well. You know, I picked 2 tracks for this evaluation that are at the beginning of the side. Had I intended to do a 45 to 33 comparison, I would have probably focused on LA Woman and Riders on the Storm. But I can tell you that the 45 does excel on those cuts. It's just a little bit brighter cut overall, and most people will just absolutely love the 45. It's been the king of the heat for a while. I love it. I am not going any further with this. If the DCC fell in my lap, I would absolutely take it. The DCC costs $150 to $500 for a seal copy. There's a reason people are paying that much for it. It's that good. And if I had my choice, I would trade whatever I had to get the DCC. I think Steve Hoffman does an excellent job with rock music, and the DCC series features some of his best work. We did a shootout for Hotel California a while back, and Steve Hoffman's wiped the floor with everyone else's, in our opinion, including that one step from MoFi. Every time I hear Steve Hoffman's work, I hear a signature for sure. It's a warm, lush, organic sound, and I just think it works for an album like this. Those are my thoughts on the Doors L.A. Woman. There's definitely something for everyone here. The very affordable Rhino is excellent. The UHQR is the Rolls Royce of the 33s that are currently in print. But if you want to hear the ultimate, I think the DCC is definitely worth a listen. I think Oswaldo is creating one of his videos where he does an ABC of one track. So you'll be able to hear the differences in a rough way over YouTube. And they're usually pretty illuminating. So I'll leave a link for that in the description box. But until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Thank you for watching and have a great day.